What if I told you that the birds of the prehistoric world were so enormous and frightening that they'd make even intimidating creatures look like harmless pigeons in comparison? We're talking about terror birds, a group of prehistoric avian predators so fearsome that they dominated their ecosystems for millions of years. These weren't just big birds, they were the stuff of nightmares, apex predators in a world where mammals were still trying to fill the ecological niches left by the dinosaurs. Let's start our journey about 62 million years ago in the early Paleocene epoch. The dinosaurs had just gone extinct, and the world was ripe for new predators to take their place. Enter Paleopsilopterus, one of the earliest known terror birds. Standing at about 3 feet tall, Paleopsilopterus might not seem that terrifying by modern standards, but this was just the beginning. As we move forward in time, these terror birds, scientifically known as phorusrhacids, grew larger and more fearsome. By the Eocene epoch, about 56 to 33.9 million years ago, we see the emergence of giants like Brontornis. This beast stood around 9 feet tall and could weigh up to 880 pounds. That's heavier than a male grizzly bear, but Brontornis wasn't just big, it was built to kill. Like all terror birds, it had a massive, hooked beak that could deliver bone-crushing blows. Its legs were powerful, equipped with sharp talons that could disembowel prey with a single kick. This wasn't a bird you'd want to encounter on your morning jog. Now, if you're thinking, surely these terror birds couldn't get any more frightening, hold on to your hats. Because as we enter the Miocene epoch, about 23 to 5.3 million years ago, we meet the true titans of the terror bird world. First up is Calancan guillermois, possibly the largest known terror bird. This monster stood up to 10 feet tall and had a skull nearly 2.5 feet long. To put that in perspective, its head was bigger than most people's torsos. The beak of Calancan was a deadly weapon, hooked at the end and serrated along the edges. This wasn't just for show. Calancan could use this beak to deliver devastating killing blows to its prey. But Calancan wasn't alone in the nightmare fuel department. There was also Titanus walleri, a terror bird that lived in North America until as recently as 2 million years ago. Titanus stood about 8 feet tall and could weigh up to 760 pounds. What made Titanus particularly terrifying was its speed. Despite its size, this bird was built for running, capable of chasing down prey at high speeds. Imagine a bird the size of a grizzly bear with a beak like an axe, sprinting after you at highway speeds. That's the kind of nightmare scenario that mammals in prehistoric North America had to deal with on a daily basis. But perhaps the most infamous of all terror birds was Phorusrhacos longissimus. Living in South America during the Miocene, Phorusrhacos was the quintessential terror bird. Standing about 8 feet tall with a massive hooked beak and powerful legs, this creature was a perfect killing machine. What made Phorusrhacos truly terrifying wasn't just its size or its weapons, it was how it hunted. Unlike modern birds of prey that use their talons to kill, Phorusrhacos used its massive beak. It would chase down its prey, catch it with its beak, then lift it high and smash it into the ground repeatedly. If that didn't kill the prey outright, Phorusrhacos would use its beak to tear it apart. This wasn't just violent, it was efficient. Phorusrhacos and its terror bird relatives were the apex predators of their ecosystems for millions of years. They filled the ecological niche left by the extinct dinosaurs, becoming the dominant large carnivores in South America. But terror birds weren't confined to South America. As we mentioned earlier, Titanus made it to North America. crossing the newly formed Isthmus of Panama about 5 million years ago. This was part of an event known as the Great American Interchange, where animals from South America moved north and vice versa. Imagine the scene: herds of prehistoric horses and camels peacefully grazing on the North American plains, when suddenly a flock of 8-foot-tall killer birds appears on the horizon. It must have been a shocking and terrifying sight for animals that had never encountered such predators before. Now you might be wondering, if these terror birds were so successful, why aren't they around today? Well, the answer lies in a combination of factors, primarily changes in climate and competition from other predators. As the Pleistocene epoch began about 2.5 million years ago, the Earth entered a series of ice ages. This led to significant changes in vegetation and prey animals. The open grasslands that terror birds had dominated began to shrink, replaced by forests and tundra. At the same time, new predators were evolving and migrating. In South America, terror birds faced competition from large carnivorous mammals like Thylacosmolus, a saber-toothed marsupial. In North America, Titanus had to contend with dire wolves, saber-toothed cats, and short-faced bears. These new predators were more adaptable and better suited to the changing environments. They could navigate forests more easily than the large, open country adapted terror birds. Slowly, but surely, the reign of the terror birds came to an end. The last known terror bird, a species of Titanus, went extinct about 1.8 million years ago. But their legacy lives on in the nightmares they must have inspired, and in the fossil record that tells their terrifying tale. But don't think for a moment that the age of terrifying birds ended with the forest racids. Evolution has a way of creating nightmares in all shapes and sizes. Take, for example, Pelagornis sandersi, a prehistoric seabird that lived about 25 million years ago. While not a terror bird, Pelagornis was terrifying in its own right. With a wingspan of up to 24 feet, it's the largest known flying bird ever to exist. Imagine a bird with a wingspan twice the length of a car, soaring over prehistoric oceans. Or consider the Haast's eagle, a real-life monster that went extinct only 600 years ago. This bird lived in New Zealand and was the largest known eagle to ever exist. With a wingspan of up to 10 feet and weighing up to 33 pounds, the Haast's eagle was capable of taking down prey as large as the giant moa, a flightless bird that could weigh over 500 pounds. The Haast's eagle was so large and formidable that it features in Maori legends as a man-eating monster. It's also worth noting that not all prehistoric birds were giants. Many were similar in size to modern birds, but no less terrifying. The Eocene epoch, for instance, saw the evolution of Gastornis, once thought to be a fearsome carnivore like the terror birds. Recent studies suggest Gastornis was probably herbivorous, but at 6.5 feet tall and weighing up to 450 pounds, it would have been an intimidating sight nonetheless. And let's not forget about prehistoric flying predators. While not technically birds, pterosaurs like Quetzalcoatlus were flying reptiles that could reach sizes that dwarf even the largest modern birds. With wingspans of up to 36 feet, Quetzalcoatlus could have easily preyed on small dinosaurs. Even in more recent prehistoric times, birds continued to be formidable creatures. The Pleistocene epoch, which ended just 11,700 years ago, was home to birds that would still be considered giants by today's standards. The elephant birds of Madagascar, for example, stood up to 10 feet tall and could weigh over 1,000 pounds. While not predators like the terror birds, their sheer size would have made them a force to be reckoned with. So the next time you feed pigeons in the park or watch seagulls at the beach, remember you're dealing with the diminutive descendants of creatures that once ruled the skies and terrorized the land. Birds have been around for over 150 million years, evolving from theropod dinosaurs and adapting to every environment the Earth has thrown at them. While we might not have 10-foot-tall killer birds or eagles the size of small planes today, birds are still a dominant force in our world. They're found on every continent, in every habitat, from the frozen Antarctic to the hottest deserts. Modern birds might be smaller than their prehistoric ancestors, but they're no less impressive or important to our ecosystems. From the massive Kalenkin to the swift Titanus, terror birds were creatures of nightmares, apex predators in a world very different from our own. They were big, they were numerous, and they were absolutely terrifying. But they were also incredible, showcasing the amazing adaptability of avian evolution and the stunning diversity that nature can produce. So the next time you see a bird, take a moment to appreciate it. You're looking at the heir to a lineage that once dominated the planet, a living connection to a time when birds were truly terrifying, and the world was a very different and much more frightening place. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep an eye on the skies. You never know when a descendant of those ancient terrors might be watching you.